Dr. Martin, would you introduce the student, please?
Yes. This is Emmanuel Narte Aklie.
Yeah, Aklie.
Aklie.
Yeah.
And he's also a graduate student in chemistry and geosciences in the GIST, the master's program. And he's going to present here about malaria in his home country, Ghana.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Aklie, and I'm looking at the Ghanaian war against malaria, a geospatial approach to malaria healthcare access in Ghana. So somebody will be wondering, why did I put war over there? Let's just cast our mind back to when COVID started. A war was declared on humanity, where we lost families, we lost a couple of people we love. But when we come to Ghana or Africa as a continent, malaria has been one of the endemics that has, caused a lot of death and sicknesses over the whole continent. But I want to focus on Ghana. Why do I want to focus on Ghana? Ghana is more or less like a country with, different variation of temperature. The northern part of Ghana is kind of dried during the dry season, and the southern part is full of, the tropics like vegetation, water bodies, and a whole lot. So I want to look at some of the common reasons why malaria still persists over the period and is killing people. So that is the main reason. And also the inspiration came as a result in 2012. I, fell sick as a result of malaria. I was in high school, and we were asked to use mosquito bed net, but because of the temperature at that moment, I didn't sleep under mosquito bed net, and I fell sick and nearly lost my life. So I decided to focus on what some of the ways we can use in preventing malaria in Ghana. All right, so what can we do to drive away mosquito from the continent? Literature shows that when you go to Belize, when you go to Azerbaijan and some few countries, they were able to overcome malaria. How did they overcome? They took some of the, petty things serious, something like sleeping under mosquito bed net, something like vaccinating their population. Education was quite, on the high. So I took inspiration from that, and I decided to focus on one of my research questions or topics. I tried to focus on mosquito bed. What are some of the reasons why people don't sleep under mosquito bed? All right, so for my outline, we talk about the introduction, the study area, objectives, data, method, and conclusion. So for the introduction, so this is the data from the WHO, and it says that 2.2 of both global malaria cases and fatalities, Ghana contribute, to that. And this is, I chose my data on 2019 because it's kind of post-COVID, and that is when malaria cases drop. So you could see in the decade from 2010 to 2020, the cases have been, up and down, and it's kind of disturbing. We have about 6.7 million people, contracting malaria. So, as I said, this is my study area, and where you see in the red, symbology, that is where I come from, the capital, the Greater Accra, and I'm a little biased when it comes to, I did a study on land use, land cover change to see if it has a relationship with malaria prevalence in Ghana. And this time around, I want to look at the whole of Ghana and see what are some of the reasons why people don't use mosquito bed net. And as I said, Ghana has almost all the climatic weather conditions that we'll have in Africa. So if you go to the northern part of Africa, we know it's kind of very dry. They have a lot of desert. When you come to Ghana, the northern, the upper west, and the upper east, they have such temperatures. When you come to the middle belt, like the Bronga half, that is where we get most of our agriculture activities, the food and things. When you come to the Ashanti region, that is where we have most of our mineral resources. When you come to Western region, that is where we have a lot of water bodies. The Central and the Greater Accra, that is where we have people, fishermen, and other places. So when we study, about Ghana concerning malaria, we can be applicable to most other areas in Africa. All right, so my objectives for my entire research is to analyze how demographic parameters influence the distribution of malaria in Ghana, examine malaria and mosquito net usage and malaria's prevalence in various districts. And the last, I want to look at the cultural, aspect of malaria. So for my data and method, I took data from the DHS, Demographic Health Survey, that was conducted between September and November. That is where we usually have a lot of malaria cases in Ghana. And I did data cleaning using SPSS, and I chose 2019 household recode data. There are a lot of variables to look at in that. We have the individual, we have household individual, and we have women, we have children. But I decided to focus on household because I believe it covers everybody. All right, so I use GIS in doing my data processing, data visualization, and I did analysis from that. So I will show you what I did. So this is a beautiful map of Ghana. This side, the figure 3 shows a map of Ghana showing mosquito bed net access at the various districts. So there are about 207 districts in Ghana. But for this particular survey, they clustered them to 200 districts, since some of the district has a lot of populations and a lot of area coverage. So they sample it to 200 districts. So this shows, the yellow one shows the number of people, high percentage of people have access to mosquito bed net. And this one shows the original mosquito bed net usage. You realize that in the northern part of Ghana, which is the upper west, majority of them have the mosquito bed net and they use it. But when you come to the capital, the city, you realize that in the mauve color, you realize that majority of them, they have the mosquito bed net, but they don't use it. So the question is, what are some of the reasons why they don't use the mosquito bed net? All right, so reason for not sleeping under mosquito bed net. We have, looking at the rural and urban, realize that in the urban areas, percentage of the population are saying it is too hot. The weather is too hot. So if the weather is too hot, it means that they are not going to sleep on under mosquito bed net. And people are saying, when you look at the second one, it says no mosquito. Some also say they use other method. It could be residual spray. Some say the net is too old. Some are saying they don't like the smell. Some are saying they sleep outside. And some are saying the net brought bugs. Some will say they don't like the shape. So could these simple things or simple reasons contribute to malaria, prevailing in Ghana? Why should these reasons, like I don't like the shape, I don't like the color, it is too old, why should we allow this to be, allowing malaria to prevail? So when we come to the regional level, we realize that the Greater Accra region, they are the highest, population that, they don't use the mosquito bed net. They have it, but they don't use it. What could be the underlying factors that will prevent them from using the mosquito bed net? So about 80.1% of them says they don't use it. Could it be that there are a lot of health facilities? Could it be that they are very rich and they can afford health, or they are closer to maybe the health facilities that we have? What could be some of the reasons? All right, so these are the common reasons for not using the mosquito bed net at the various regions. Too hot, no mosquito, prefer other methods, net too old, don't like the smell. So you don't like the smell, like what happened to me in 2012. Because I wasn't comfortable, I don't like the smell of the mosquito bed net, I decided not to sleep under it. And I got affected by the malaria, and I was in there, I nearly lost my life. So if you look at Upper West, they don't like the shape, the blue color. They show, majority of them says they don't like the shape of the mosquito bed net. And if you look at the dominant one, which says net too old, you go to Upper East, where they have a lot of mosquito bed net. Majority of them are saying it is too old. Could it be political? Because Ghana elections happens every 4 years. And that is when, if politicians want power, they decided to go and distribute mosquito bed net or give people what they want. So could it be that because it is political, they only get it like maybe every 4 years, so it is too old, so they are not, sleeping under. When you go to Greater Accra region, majority of them are saying it is too hot. So a colleague of mine did land surface temperature at the Greater Accra region to see if there is a relationship between, land surface temperature and health in Ghana. He realized that there is a relationship between that. So it could be that maybe the weather condition over there is not favorable. That is why people are not using mosquito bed net. So we have 39% of them saying it is too old across, the whole Ghana. 39% are saying it is too old and torn, and 36% of them are saying it is too hot. All right, so what do we do? Let's say I am somebody who loves American football, and I'm from Alabama, and you give me a jersey from somebody in Georgia. Will I wear it? No. So somebody like my uncle who has like 3 wives, okay, and is thinking about how to feed them, his children, and you give him a mosquito bed net, which the weather conditions are very hot, he will decide to use it for other purposes. So I grew up seeing them using mosquito bed nets to catch fish. I grew up seeing them using it for other purposes because there's no use. So what should government do? So places where they said it is too old, could government give them mosquito spray to spray their rooms and open the windows so that before they go to sleep, mosquitoes in the rooms could die or something like that? Places like Volta region, they are very, they like color. So if you give them, they like red color. If you give them a color like green, they are not going to use it because of their culture, scent. So what should government do? What I'm suggesting is that I want to use survey 123 so that before government will do mass distribution of mosquito bed net, we'll have people who have most of them use Android phone to be able to collect this data. So instead of giving people in the Greater Accra region where they said the weather is too hot, instead of them giving them mosquito bed net, why don't we give them the spray? Or why don't we use other methods instead of giving them mosquito bed net where at the end of the day they are not going to use it? People like Volta region, why don't we purchase mosquito bed net that is red or other color? Because if you give them blue, they are not going to sleep under it. When you go to the Brongahafo region, because the place is airy, most of them are not using it. When you go to the northern region, you realize that majority of the people in the northern region are Muslims. And most of these donors that donate things, they are Christian, dominated, like the Catholic and those things. So what do we do? Should government focus its effort? Because those are the northern region, they are the people who sleep under the mosquito bed net. Why don't we channel our energy to those places and give the mosquito spray to people who will actually use them? So for my results and findings, I read the results is 76.7 of respondents own a mosquito bed net, with 21% point higher in rural areas, which is 85 than in urban areas. So we realize that people in the rural areas, they use mosquito bed net more than people in the urban areas. Net too old emerged as the most common reason cited by 39% of respondents. So we realize that about 39% of the population are saying that they don't sleep at a mosquito bed net because it is too old. Government, what should we do? And I did one of the literature says that a mosquito bed net can take at least 3 good years for it to be replaced. So after every 3 years for us to replace, should government, do the needful, or do they have to wait because they want vote from the people? That's when they go and, give them mosquito bed net. So the study implies that urbanized areas like the Greater Accra region, 80.1% have a common reason for saying they are not sleeping under the mosquito net because it is too hot. So it means that when you send a mosquito bed net to the coastal regions, they are not going to sleep under it. So government, what I'm suggesting, government should rather, use other method than giving them mosquito bedding. And this trend could be attributed to improved healthcare access, as I said earlier. And the limitations, I realized when we began this project, getting data was a bit, very, very, very hectic. Malaria should be something that should be treated like, I believe in my perspective, like how we treated COVID. We should focus our attention on, helping eradicate malaria. But it seems like there's data, the data is there, but it's not easily accessible. You reach out to the Ghana Health Service and it becomes a challenge. I have to write a letter, do a video to show that I'm a Ghanaian before they could release the data for me. The data obtained contains errors. Most of the geographic, the GPS data they collected, most of them were found in the sea. I have to, reach out and, do a lot of cleaning before I could be able to use the data. And there could be potential biases in the DH data because I realized people who goes to the northern region to take the data, majority of them don't speak the language. They have to use interpreters. So you realize that there are a lot of biases in the data they collected. So hopefully I'll be graduating in May. I want to focus now. I'm looking at the second aspect, vaccination. I want to extend my research and see other variables I could use to handle this malaria cases in Ghana. So future research, I hope somebody will look at something more in depth, looking at other demographic parameters to be able to, help solve malaria cases in Ghana. So I took the data from DHS program and some literature. I have a lot of literature, but this is the key ones that I took. And so I want to thank my supervisor, Dr. Sciuchetti, and Margaret, and Prabish, and some of my faculty members. They were really helpful when it comes to this particular project. So thank you.
Hi, so I'm also very interested in malaria, and I understand that these pendant issues have other issues like resistance to the vectors or the mosquitoes that carry plasmodium causing malaria. So my question is, one, how effective is the government at getting vaccines for malaria to your populace? And then number two, what are the, if any, what are the strategies for trying to control vector populations or the populations of mosquitoes, Anopheles mosquitoes that transmit the parasite?
All right, so the first one has to do with vaccination. That is my next research topic I want to look at. But I think vaccination is done every, 6 months. But, because of how cultural people are, including myself, when even COVID came and we have to take the shot, there were a lot of perceptions.
Right.
So it means that government has to do a lot of sensitization, educate the public on why we need to vaccine,
Right.
especially pregnant women and the vulnerable population, like children under, let's say, under 2 years or 5 years. And the last one, can you please?
Oh, I'm sorry. So are there any mosquito control programs in Ghana that you're
Yes,
aware of?
there is, but a lot of people has raised concern on how they are being, some do it on some TV stations, but if you go to the rural areas, majority of them don't have TVs.
Right.
So I think there should be more effort, maybe using the radio system or some other methods, or maybe they should be taught in school. I remember 1998 when we were in school, the government by then, kind of, they teach us in school, but currently those things are out of the syllabus.
Wow.
So I think it is something that, and it all boils down to politics.
Sure.
Politics. So,
That's really interesting.
but my next one, I want to look at, the vaccine and how effective we can use vaccination in addressing these issues.
So there are a lot of cultural reasons that vaccines are not more widespread.
Yes, I believe. Because with the mosquito bed net, there is a place we call the Volta region. When you give them any other color apart from the red, they are not going to sleep under it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was always curious when WHO comes in, if there's any pushback from the communities from lack of education on taking these malaria vaccines, particularly for children. So it's really interesting.
All right. Well, let's thank our speaker.